2 years ago, the U.S. State Department and FBI jointly issued a $5 million reward for Ukrainian-Russian businessman Simon Mogilevich. As early as more than 10 years ago, Mogilevich was listed on Forbes' list of the world's top 10 individuals, suspected of leading an organized crime group in smuggling nuclear materials, murder and fraud. Not only the United States, but the Czech and Hungarian police also investigated him, and the former beautiful Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko also prosecuted him. Businessman is only one of Mogilevich's identities. He is also the godfather of the Russian Mafia, nicknamed the boss of the big ones. After so many years, some of the top 10 villains have been executed, some are in jail, and some have disappeared. Russian underworld bosses of the same level as Mogilevich, such as the former Soviet green thieves Usoyan and Ivankov, were also found dead on the streets. But this fat old MO is still standing. Hello everyone, I am Fei Xiang. I focus on in-depth reporting of people and events. Viewers who like it can follow me. Mogilevich is a Jew who was born in Kiev, Ukraine, Soviet Union in 1946. He received a good education since childhood and obtained a degree in economics from Lviv University as an adult. Unfortunately, his intelligence was not put to good use. According to official Soviet records, Mogilevich was imprisoned twice for participating in currency crimes and fraud in the 1970s. There is a specialty in Soviet prisons called green thieves, which originated in the era when gulags were everywhere. To put it simply, this is the best of a group of villains, ruling the Soviet underworld beyond the control of the KGB. They have a set of so-called commandments, such as not starting a family, not making a living by legal means, not cooperating with the authorities in any form, etc. In fact, the rules of the world are bound to others, and these thieves do not abide by them at all. Almost all of them have connections with the authorities and act as chamberpots. There is no precise information to prove whether Mogilevich is a green thief, but he does do dirty work for powerful organizations. As a top economics student, he became a KGB informant after being released from prison. He used organized crime networks as a cover to transfer KGB funds to Western Europe for espionage activities. In return, he can engage in black market reselling. In the mid-1980s, over 1 million Soviet Jews immigrated to Israel, but assets such as real estate and art could not be cashed out for a while. Mogilevich jumped out and said, "You people go first, I will help sell the things on your behalf, and then remit the money to you." Many people really believed him, but Mogilevich sold the things and pocketed millions of dollars. This was his first pot of gold. In the late 1980s, Mogilevich joined the Moscow Santsivo Brotherhood, Russia's largest gang, and became one of several core bosses. According to diplomatic cables leaked by the United States in 2010, the organization is related to senior officials of the Russian Federal Security Service. In the early 1990s, Mogilevich, who held passports from many countries, married his Hungarian girlfriend and lived in Budapest. On the surface, he owns a nightclub chain in Hungary, a high-tech company, a fabric factory in Israel, a technology company in Los Angeles, a basketball team in Russia, a high-end restaurant in Prague, the Czech Republic, an oil company in Bulgaria, and even there is also a funeral company in Moscow. In fact, he ran a complex criminal network involving money laundering, arms, smuggling, human trafficking, extortion and more. There were at least several hundred people killed under his orders. During the chaotic period of the disintegration of the Soviet Union, as long as you could afford it, Mogilevich could get everything from nuclear materials and fighter jets to tanks and AKs sold by the pound. In addition, he sold untaxed heating oil as motor fuel in Central Europe, causing various countries to lose huge amounts of tax revenue. In 1994, Mogilevich took a stake in the Bank of Vinogradov, one of the 7 oligarchs during the Yeltsin period, thus infiltrating the international financial system and laundering money even more unscrupulously. Vinogradov later went bankrupt, which had a lot to do with Lao Mo's crazy money laundering. In May 1995, Mogilevich and a group of leaders of the Santsivo Brotherhood held a meeting in his restaurant in Prague. The party was raided by the Czech police and nearly 200 people were arrested. But Lao Mo received the news and left 10 minutes before the police arrived, which shows his extensive connections. After this, Mogilevich was banned from entering the Czech Republic for 10 years and was classified as persona non grata in Hungary. As the Russian Mafia continues to internationalize, Lao Mo sets his sights on the North American continent. He believes that if you can't make a lot of money in the United States, you can't be considered a world-class gang godfather. His rich knowledge of economics makes Mogilevich completely different from other black bosses, and his gameplay is both complex and high-end. He first indirectly controlled a listed company called YBM International in Canada, but it operated in Pennsylvania, the United States. The company claims to have a large magnet factory in Hungary to attract investors. In 1997, an additional 3.2 million shares were issued, and the market value once reached $1 billion. But only a year later, WebEM was revealed by the media to be an empty shell, and an FBI raid confirmed this. The company's stock price collapsed instantly, and North American investors lost more than $150 million, while Mogilevich took away $300 million. In addition to this fraud case, Lau Mo was also involved in the 1999 New York bank's tens of billions of dollars in money laundering. The investigation and evidence collection of these two cases took the FBI several years. It was not until 2004 that the FBI issued a wanted order for Mogilevich with a reward of $5 million, and later listed him as one of the 10 most wanted criminals. However, there was no extradition agreement between the United States and Russia, so he had to be removed from the list again. He watched helplessly as Mo was enjoying himself in a Moscow mansion and controlling his criminal empire. In fact, even if there is an extradition agreement, agents may not be able to arrest people. According to Litvinenko, a former KGB lieutenant colonel who defected in 2000 and was poisoned by polonium-210 in 2006, Mogilevich has always maintained a good relationship with the big secret agents. This seems to explain that even though he is wanted by many countries, Lau Mo is still thriving and even controls a joint energy company registered in Switzerland in which Gazprom holds 50% of the shares. The company is involved in the business of transporting natural gas from Turkmenistan to Eastern European countries and was involved in the 2009 Russia-Ukraine natural gas dispute. Former Ukrainian Prime Minister Gas Princess Tymoshenko was sentenced to 7 years after she stepped down for abusing her power in the matter. He believed that he had been cheated by Mogilevich and filed a lawsuit in the U.S. Manhattan court, but that was all. Lau Mo has been wanted by the United States for many years, and there are a lot of lawsuits waiting for him, but if he can't catch anyone, what's the use? Of course, there are risks involved in walking around the world and doing white gloves. In January 2008, Moscow police suddenly arrested Mogilevich on suspicion of tax evasion of 50 million rubles. This amount of money is just a drop in the bucket for him, and it is obvious that some big shots want to beat him. I guess Lau Mo is very aware of current affairs. After some unknown operations, he, who is 1.68 meters tall and weighs more than 260 kilograms, only served prison food for a year and a half. After losing 3 inches in height, he was released. The criminal investigation against him was quickly closed. In April 2022, the U.S. State Department and the FBI cooperated to offer a reward of $5 million to restart the hunt for Mogilevich. But Lau Mo lives in a villa on the outskirts of Moscow and has lived in seclusion in recent years. The last time he appeared in public was at the funeral of a leader of the Songkewo gang several years ago. Ordinary people cannot see him at all, and it is probably impossible to bring him to justice, who is nearly 80 years old. That's it for today. If you like it, please follow me. See you next time.